Hey guys, welcome back to RCRestomod. Been rocking along on the channel for about a month now, and almost all of it has been the resto part and resto mod. That changes today. This entire video is modifications to our Slash chassis to turn it into a race car. Now, it's kind of in two parts. The first part, I made modifications to the transmission and to the wheel bearings. And I filmed that when I put the chassis back together after cleaning, because I didn't want to take all that back apart later. So I kind of cheated, but I did film it and put it on this video. And then we made some more changes that you'll see, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, please subscribe. We'd sure like to get those numbers up so that I can continue doing this thing for long term, because I've got a bit of investment with GoPro and the computer that's coming, which once that gets here, hopefully we'll up the quality and that'll help out too. Anyway, enjoy the video and we'll catch you next time. Okay guys, this little part we're going to be talking about bearings, and we have to think about them a little bit. Now, if you're doing a basher or a crawler or something where speed isn't important, or if you're in a position like an off-road car where you've got more power than you do control, like most people don't run their off-road cars at 100% throttle because they just can't. You can't control it like that. So you leave both seals in because you can easily overpower the drag that the seal puts on there. However, in this class of oval track racing, where everybody's running exactly the same motor and the cars are possibly a bit underpowered, we're going to try to limit the drag that the bearings put on it. Now, if you'll look inside this housing, you have this. There's a bearing that sits right here. It's blind. There's no way for dirt to get to the bearing except to get into the housing, travel through all the gears, and get all the way up here into the bearing. So what we're going to do is eliminate the seals and take out some of the drag that's there. All you do is just take your little knife, and I know it said cut away from you, but this is prying, so it's safe, or less dangerous anyway. Just poke the end in there and pry it gently. And there it is. And now this one will turn. Now this bearing will turn freer than this bearing does. So let's take that one and we'll shove it up in the blind hole. Now in that same shaft, when we put it together, this is the shaft that goes there. That bearing will be exposed right here through this hole. So we're going to do something slightly different here. We're going to remove one of the seals. Maybe. Now we've got a bearing with just one seal on it. If you put that side out towards the dirt, you're going to regret it. But this side is just as safe from dirt as a brand new one with both seals in it. So we'll push it to where the seal side is showing. And we'll flip it over and verify. There's the seal. So that should be able to keep the dirt out. Now, if we had put the bearings in completely stock without pulling these seals out of them, there would be 4 seals dragging on the inner race of those bearings as they spun around. Now we have 1. So whatever drag those seals were making has been reduced from to 25% of what it was originally. Now we have other bearings going in. There's one each where the outputs go, where the differential goes through, and then your drive shafts tie on. And those we'll put in with a single seal under the idler gear, which it rides up in here on a shaft, and here it's not exposed to the outside anywhere, so we'll pull all the seals off of that, and we'll take that seal drag and completely eliminate it on the idler gear. And we'll cut it in half on these down here, and those are the 6 bearings that go in your transmission, and we're going to cut out a bunch of drag from those. Okay, we have these bearing carriers that hold our wheel bearings, and if you look, when we push the bearings in, the outside one will be exposed to dirt, the inside will not, so we don't need a seal on the inside. So let's take the seals off of these 2 bearings. Well, these are tough to get off. Normally they're easier. And if you're super careful about taking these out, if you don't have a new bearing, sometimes you can super carefully pry these out, wash the dirt out of them, re-oil them, and put them back in, and get by for a little while. Anyway, the no seal side will go towards the center, and the seal will go on the outside. Now we do the same thing for the outer wheel bearing. Jam it in there. These are not cooperating, and normally this is an easy process. But normally I'm not showing it off to literally dozens of people. There we go. Now, we'll do that for all 4 wheels. In the transmission, we were able to remove 1, 2, under here will make 3, 4, under here will make 5, there's 6, and through here will be 7. We're going to be able to take the drag of 7 seals out. Once again, not a huge change, but in the grand scheme of things, it might be just enough to give me a burst of speed that I need to put a pass on somebody that didn't take the time to do all this. So anyway, that's what we're doing that's the first special race type modification that we're making to our SSS. All right, guys, what we're doing today is we are going to mount the body mounts and front bumper assembly for this Slash Super Stock that we got from Shark Bodies. And I'm going to show you the instructions I'll be working from. What they are is just a series of pictures that they put together. And actually, you know, down here in Texas, if you feel like you can handle something because you've handled similar things before, you say, this ain't my first rodeo. Well, honestly, this is not my first rodeo. However, I'm only about a half dozen rodeos in, so I think I ought to be able to figure it out, but it's going to be maybe a little sketchy here, there, and yonder, but we'll do our best, and I'll show you the process I went through to get there, and let's see how it works out. So the first thing we got to do is get rid of the factory front bumper. Well, let's do that the easy way. All right, that is the old front bumper removed. We'll start with the bumper brace. And looks like it gets a body post. Well, I don't have any. Oh, here we go. Bumper brace. Like that. I'm probably going to have to cut these off based upon the picture. Get that down in there. Based upon the picture, those body mounts look a lot shorter than what I have here. But we'll just mock them up so that we can trim them to fit once we see how the body's going to fit it. So it shows a washer on the bottom. I'm guessing on the bottom. We'll run it through that way. Start screwing that body post on. It'll look like 1.5s. There it goes. I went through this last time I was working. Their screws are kind of an odd size, and my little Amazon tools do slip in them. I think some of the commenters might be right. I may need to upgrade soon. But the 2 and 2.5 still work great. It's just the 1.5 will slip in some grub screws and all the shark body screws. Yeah, let's put it in install mode. All right, that one's in. Now let's hit it with this thing. All right, we got that in. Now we got to figure out which of these is the bulkhead mount and which one is the top support. Okay, looks like the top support is this S-shaped one, and the bulkhead is this one that just makes a simple like 45-degree bend. Okay. All right, so one of the screws goes, okay, so one of the screws goes through there. One of the screws goes through on the other side. Now this, so we got that that's slotted there. And now we got this guy. It doesn't really look like it matters. Yeah, that's how it goes, right there. That goes like that. Then we got to put a nut on it. Oh, look what we ran into. Ran into a screw size that doesn't fit our little tool here. So I'm just going to grab it with a pair of pliers. Keep in mind that right now we're in a mock-up stage, so it's not that big a deal if it doesn't get that tight. Oh, there's that. All right, we have built that assembly. Once again, I think these are too long and they'll have to be taken off and shortened, but that's not a difficult thing to do. Okay, that's already done. Well, okay, I guess that's what we've got for instructions on this thing. Now let's see how it fits the front of the truck. All right, let's knock some crap off on the floor. That'd be cool. Well, let's flip it upside down and see if anything lines up. Well, stuff does seem to be lining up on the bottom. Except these holes are not prepared for countersunk or for a countersink, but the screws that we took out are countersunk. So I think I'm going to go into my screw kit and get some button head, some 4mm button heads to go in here. Okay, found some button head screws that are the same length. So let's see if we can make them fit. Flip it upside down. Get out at 2.5. Okay, I left all those loose in case we need to get some movement up here. Now it looks like the intention is for these holes to line up with those two holes in the chassis. Right now they do not. So what we're going to try and do, we're going to loosen these two bolts and see if that'll give me enough flexibility to screw these in, and then we'll retighten these. All right. Now that we got those two loose, let's see if everything will move around enough to let those line up. It looks like it might just about do it. No, not quite. Oh, hey. Maybe. Uh-oh. Don't like that noise. Did something break? No, it didn't. Awesome. Just loosened up. Okay. That looks like it loosened up enough to let that line up.
Let's see. Okay, that started. That started.
I think we're going to leave this loose until we find out how far forward the body needs to sit. So, give that a flip. We'll go ahead and run these down now. All right. Now we've got a ton of adjustability down there. The bulkhead support, bumper brace, and top support are installed on the car. We're going to leave the front loose until we know where we want everything to be, and that'll be based upon how the body fits the chassis and how we set it up. We better put a washer against that flexible stuff. Okay. Now let's see what we got. Now we got two more longer bolts to push up through there. Oh, that fits so much nicer. Now, I'm not going to cinch these down. I'm just going to get them fairly close, but I'm going to leave it where it'll slide freely. Okay. Now, it's all mounted up. We got some adjustment that we'll take care of once we put the body on. We'll then know where the adjustment needs to be, and we can tighten that down. All right, that actually was quite a bit easier than I expected. Okay. All right, I figured out that the 0.25 screws are the short ones. So we'll use those to attach the rear the rear shock tower mount to the rear body brace with the short screws. We'll attach the body post out to the end with the short screws, and that'll be step one. I guess we need to get the old body mount, the slash body mounts need to come off of the shock tower. All right, now that that's out of the way, tell you what, let's do. Let's take these two out. Yeah. We can drop that and get it out of our way. Okay. Right in here, you can see a curved part in the center of this 3D printed part. And it is sitting with that facing the rear of the car. So that goes in like that. It's a little tough to figure out where it ties to the Traxxas shock tower. We're going to reuse the Traxxas screws just because I don't like how short their screws are that Shark Body sent me. I don't like the smaller heads that are on them. There's just a lot to not like. So let's see what happens if we try to reuse the factory screws. There's one of them. All right, now let's see how the top ones fit back in with it. All right, I'm gonna have to put this in my lap for a second, get where I can see it. All right, it didn't require any power tools or drilling out or anything. It just took a little pulling up on it to get it to line up. So we should be able to get this one to line up as well. All right, that feels like it's going in. Now let's see, is it going to poke through the bulkhead when I tighten them all the way down? Yes, just a little bit, but not enough to alarm me. And I do like this setup quite a bit better than using the supplied screws. So we're going to make these work. All right, that's on. In this case, it would look better and probably work better if the screws face down. I'll just use this bit without the tool because it's not, it still fits 1.5 slots well, unlike my Amazon tool. But here we are, we're mid-August. I may get by with what I've got until Santa Claus, though. What I want is a set of MIP or ProTech hex drivers. He might come through for me. Santa's usually pretty decent to me. Okay. Santa Claus is good indeed. All right, I think I see what their plan was. It just wasn't communicated very well in the little pictures. So let's get these longer bolts out, because that is a very tight fit. I do believe the plan all along was to run these little bitty short ones so that you can put a nut on the other longer one that sticks through. And I think these are the ones that get a washer on them and stick up to hold the body posts. It's feeling much more right. All right. This car's little enough to just pick it up and flip it over. It's not like working on a real car. All right. There's our rear body mount. It is a bit floppy. I'm glad it has that other support. So let's take one of these and a washer and a body post. All right. What we've got left to figure out is this stiffener. It goes right through there and doesn't reach the body. It doesn't reach. Well, that's quite the conundrum. Let's see if we can figure it out. Okay. All right. Well, we'll give it a shot, but it looks as though, try to get that turned around to where you got some chance of seeing it. I installed it with both of the factory screws right here. Well, that doesn't work. And the reason that does not work is because it needs to be lower. So, we'll pick up our 2mm driver, which ended up right here. Take those back out. Okay. Now this goes in the top hole here and in the lower hole on the shock tower. Okay, that's up good and tight. That's up good and tight. So we got a good fit there. Now let's see how that fits. Well, what do you know? Now the question is, if If you'll look, that has a hole in it. A hole that, okay, I don't believe it's intended to have a screw in it. I think it's just designed to be pushed up against it and then have the screw tightened through this. Turn it up this way. Looks as though the intention is for this to go right here. And if you just kind of pull up on that and when we pull up on that, we'll tighten that in the slot to maintain the adjustment. And that way any impacts will be mitigated. It won't all be flexing of this piece. It'll be transmitted into the transmission, the bulkhead, the chassis, all that good stuff. I found something. All right, we've got a leftover like motor mounting screw. It's got the big flat head and plenty of threads sticking out the back of it. And I think it's going to be just straight up ideal for the situation we're in right here. That makes for a very secure mount and a very clean install. No washer required. All right, now we'll reattach the rear bumper. And guys, this did not go particularly smooth. There was no step-by-step how-to, obviously. But that's what custom's all about, is overcoming some obstacles and figuring some things out on your own. Now, luckily, if you've watched this video to this point, you don't have to figure out how to mount the how to get the slash mounting kit on for a shark body, because you've seen somebody do it now. All right, guys, that's done. We've got our rear body mounts, our front body mounts, our bumpers in place. That looks like probably what we'll do next is install the electronics in here. We'll put a receiver, a ESC, a motor, hook up the servo, and we may even mount a transponder in the nose just so you can kind of see how that mess works. But it's looking pretty good. We may even be able to, depending on how the body fits, we may be able to come back and put our factory shock mount, our factory body mounts back up here and have 6 body posts on the car. These 2 can be taken apart, trimmed back, and then re-screwed if they're too tall. I probably will do that just because the body's very weak right here at the front where you open up the front fender wells. So we probably, if I can do it, we will do it to where we've got 6 body posts on it. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about the rest of the car. Next video will be electronics in it.
You made it all the way to the end. You're a trooper, and I appreciate you a lot. If you made it to the end, you must have liked it a little bit, and you could throw a like on there, which would make me pretty happy. And drop me a comment. Let me know you made it to the end. I'd appreciate it. Y'all have a good day, and I'll see you next time on RCRestomod.